8 power on turn 2. 8 on the draw. My opponent played a fetid pools. I played 4 2/2s. Oh, please don't cry the Carnarium me. Please do not cast a Carnarium. Oh. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Orme. Today the deck we're going to be playing is Gruul Aggro in Historic. This deck is an aggressive deck trying to kill the opponent quickly, and it has some really good tools to do so. Starting out the 1-drops, both Llanowar Elves and Pellet Collector do pretty different things, but also incredibly good. Pellet Collector just grows to insane sizes, being something like a 3/3 or a 4/4 by turn even 2 or 3, and that's really good for a 1/1. Also gains trample as soon as it's got 3 counters, and is a really good beatdown option. And Llanowar Elves provides a lot of speed for this deck, because it means we can start playing some of our powerful 3-drops on turn 3, or like curve multiple 2-drops, maybe fill a Pellet Collector with a 2-drop, something like that. Basically just having a mana advantage is insanely powerful, and even spawns the expression always bolt the bird, which is referring to exactly that. If you have the chance to kill one of these 1-mana accelerants like Llanowar Elves, you always take the chance to, because they really are really good on turn 1. Now, Llanowar Elves, of course, as with all other dorks, falls off in the late game, but this deck is not trying to get to the late game, so it's usually not an issue. Now, in our 2-drops, Burning Tree Emissary is probably one of the best cards in the deck. You get to pretty much cast it for free on turn 2 or 3 or whenever you need it. And it fits into your curve really well and just adds extra power to the board. It's also another creature for Embercleave, and you can chain Collected Company's main phase if you hit them and make mana and then cast another Collected Company or do something like that. So Burning Tree Emissary, while it's only a 2/2, is incredibly efficient and puts you ahead on tempo, so it's really strong. I've also got a couple Gallias, Voltaic Brawlers, Scavenging Oozes, and we've also got 4 Bonecrusher Giant, which can double as a 2-drop, or just a 3-drop beater, and also gives this deck pretty much all the removal it needs alongside Shadowskull Smashing, which is not very efficient, but pretty low upside, or pretty low downside, and pretty low upside to be fair, because it's just a land and we don't really mind the 3 damage most of the time. 2 Rampaging Freeze Dawn, mostly against Goblins and Uro, though to be fair, Goblins and Uro is basically the historic format at the moment, and Rampaging Freeze Dawn also hoses Jund Sacrifice and all other Cat Oven decks, so it's really quite strong. The downside to playing a lot of them is it's pretty weak to removal spells, not having haste or anything, and there are some decks that don't really care about it. And I've got 2 Kazandu Mammoths, which, while it is a land, it's a tapped land, so it gets a lot worse in this deck. You could run 4 Kazandu Mammoth and a couple extra lands, but Kazandu Mammoth has some downside in being a tapped land that this deck can't really afford, so we've only got 2. Now I've also got 4 more Gruul Spellbreakers to round out the 3-drop slot, just put a lot of power on the board, hasty or with the +1/+1 encounter, and Hexproof as well, stop Saddle the Wreckage, targeted removal spells, can be pretty handy. Also is pretty good against Mayhem Devil. Now Cloth is God of Destiny, just a 1-of, but this deck can occasionally get the Devotion, and it's a strong tool against grind your decks. It's also a good hit off Collected Company, which is the next card up. Pretty much the only thing on our 4-drop, except for 1 solitary questing beast, and Collected Company just dumps a massive amount of power on the board. Really efficient. You can often get 6 mana worth of plays, especially considering how many 3-drops this deck has. So Collected Company is easily one of the best cards in the deck, and really a great card for a top end. And speaking of great top end cards, the one and only Embercleave itself, the probably the most insane aggro card to be in standard for a really long time. Embercleave puts an insane amount of power on the board. This deck doesn't have Anax, but still has a bunch of big beaters, and Embercleave will win you games that you can't win with any other card. Embercleave is just absolutely insane, and it's only a 3-of, mostly because Collected Company and the fact it's legendary. It's awkward in multiples, but it's still incredibly powerful, and rounds out the top end for this deck. Now onto the sideboard, we've got some Shaper's Sanctuary against removal, 3 Grafdigger's Cage, because a lot of decks lose to Grafdigger's Cage. Just be careful not to get your own Collected Company with Grafdigger's Cage, as that will mean that your Collected Company essentially just does nothing. 2 Abrade against artifacts and creatures, 1 more Scavenging Ooze against graveyards, 1 Cinder Vines against decks that cast a lot of spells or have artifacts or enchantments, 2 more Rampaging Freeze Gods against life gain, goblins, pretty much whatever. 1 more Clothless for grind your slow in matchups. Exiling Uro is good, and just dealing damage is good. 2 Chandra, Torch of Defiance to grind against slower decks, and 2 Primal Might to give this deck a little bit more removal. So that's the deck. Let's get into some games. Alrighty, welcome to round 1 against Rockwa. Is that how you prefer it? Okay, well I can't even pronounce, so who am I to judge about my opponent's pronunciation, or how to pronounce my opponent's name? So let's just pretend that I never said that, because that made absolutely no sense. And we're going to go ahead and keep this hand, and I honestly think this is just a turn 1 Pellet Collector, as I don't actually have anything to use Land Elves on turn 2. And playing Galley on turn 2 is actually going to be pretty strong. Lets me attack for 4 on turn 2, which is always really good. And I'm going to play Shadow Skull Smashing untapped for the reason that I won't have to pay life with it next turn. Whereas if I play Rabbit Up Ruins, dealing to myself, but taking less damage in the moment than I am had I played Shadow Skull Smashing. But the next turn, I'd still have to pay the 3 possibly. So Young Pyromancer. I mean, it's annoying, but I can't really do anything about it, so I might as well just attack. And here, actually, I can do something about it, so never mind me. I'm just going to Shadow Skull Smashing it for 1. I don't want to let my opponent untap with Young Pyromancer, and my plays aren't great. I just play like a Llanowar Elves, and I mean, I don't think my opponent should have scooped there, since I didn't even have a good play next turn, but I won't really complain. So definitely want these Rampaging Freeze-Dawns out. This is Rakdos Pyromancer, so they've got a bunch of Jeep spells and Arcanist. They've also got like Croaks and Graveyard stuff. Definitely want Shaper Sanctuary, because I have a lot of removal. And then I think I can cut like 2 Pellet Collectors. I can cut I can cut some Burning Emissaries now that I'm going to be a little bit more grindy. I probably don't want Chandra. I can definitely cut 2 Ember Cleaves, and I think I can just run it like that. My curve's still pretty good for Collected Company. This deck does have a lot of creatures on the sideboard, so there's not much reason to be cutting that one. And also this deck doesn't have too many lands, so that certainly helps. Though I just remembered that I brought in Grabdigger's Cage, so maybe I don't want too many Collected Companies. So I'll cut 2 and probably just keep the Pellet Collectors. It seems fine. And then it's also cutting Burning Emissary is a little bit iffy, but honestly, my opponent has a bunch of 1/3s and like Clan of the Firstborns and stuff that slow the game down, so having a bunch of those is not great. And Embercleave gets a lot worse against removal. Also, a Braid is really only just 3 to target creature, but my opponent has some high bid cards like Young Pyromancer and Rakdos Arcanist, which I really do need to kill. Like, if my opponent gets to untap with some of those, the game will just pretty much end on the spot, which is something I would generally like to avoid. So my opponent really hasn't done anything. I'm not going to do anything in turn, because I don't want to run out the Scavenging Ooze quite yet. And I guess there's an argument to playing Stomping Grounds untapped, because then if I draw like a mountain, I can maximize the amount of green sources I have in play for Scavenging Ooze, but I still think this is going to be just fine. Go ahead and discard the Gruul Spellbreaker, since I'm probably just Bone Crusher Gianting my opponent's face and then playing it. And it's sort of the only thing that's replaceable in this hand, really. Though I'm probably actually just going to straight up cast a Colossus anyway to start working on my opponent's graveyard. It's going to be pretty strong, too. My opponent doesn't have a good way to remove it, so it's actually going to be really hard for my opponent to beat. I'll go ahead and attack with Pellet Collectors, as it doesn't grow off Colossus coming to play. Colossus, of course, not being a creature quite yet. And I don't really foresee Colossus ever becoming a creature, to be fair, because my opponent has too much removal for me to have a big enough board for that. But that aside, Colossus is still going to be absolutely great. And honestly, I think I've actually understated how Colossus is going to be, because I wasn't freaking out when he was in my hand. Colossus, if I can land Colossus, is actually probably the best card in my deck against Rakdos Arcanist. In many situations, especially early, just better than Grafdigger's Cage. It's going to be so hard for my opponent to get out from underneath it. My opponent tends to agree. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, Colossus, basically, I was going to let the game itself talk for me. I was going to just show how it, like, ate my opponent's Kroxa and then just like prevented them from ever doing anything with their graveyard until they got to like 10 mana. But my opponent conceded. So basically what was going to happen in that game is I exiled Kroxa. They like play a Stitch of Supplier, like sack it, whatever. They've got a couple cards in yard, but they really need to ever do something really meaningful with their graveyard, like an Escape Necroxa. They need to mill themselves for a bunch and have enough mana to cast Kroxa on the same turn or hit multiple Kroxas. And then I also had the Scavenging Ooze. I was beating them down, dealing them damage with Clothis. Clothis is just super hard to beat before my opponent gets the thing going. Once my opponent starts like milling themselves and whatnot, and they have like a massive graveyard, then Clothis tends to be not that good since it takes a turn to start doing stuff, but turn 3 Clothis on the play really just beats Rakdos Arcanist. So that was a really quick game 1, exactly what this deck's trying to do. Not gonna lie, I put my camera over here because I was doing the intro and I didn't want to block the deck and just forgot to put it back. So I guess for my first match, the camera placement will be weird. It's fine. I'll put myself back where I belong. Not that any of you are really distressed about it, I assume, but yeah. Okay, well, I'll be back for match number 2 in, well, several minutes, but you'll only see a couple seconds of those. Alrighty, welcome to match number 2 against Monto, and oh, yikes. Well, this is a pretty clear mulligan. Unfortunately, this hand is very strong, except for only having 1 land and not having red mana. So, I don't even know what's wrong with me, but yes, I can't really keep it. Well, this hand is not great. Jesus, I am just hiccuping my whole soul out. Please ignore me. Is it? God damn it. This hand, please, body, let me get through this, is not great because my curve sucks, and now it sucks even more because I don't even have a 1-drop. Yeah, pretty much. My opponent did take a mulligan though, so at least there's that. And oh my god, this is not good. But yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay, well, I guess I'll just start jamming. I am somewhat. I think my opponent's on rogues though, so I'm not even gonna cast the Bone Crusher Giant, which makes Burning Tree a little awkward. But I think I'm actually just going to want the Bone Crusher Giant, since they have Luris, so I assume they're on rogues. Dimir rogues doesn't tend to be super popular in Historic, but, well, here we are, I guess. Yeah, so what I was trying to say is basically that hand was bad because it didn't have a good curve. It didn't have a 2-drop, and while I could bot on the second Emerald Cleave, it's ultimately a multi 6, so it's going to have some disadvantages. That being said, we did actually drop pretty well. I think what I'm going to do is just going to attack with Burning Tremster. If my opponent wants to flash in something and do some shenanigans, and I'll have Bone Crusher up. And if not, then I guess I'm just going to cast Gruul Spellbreaker. At some point, I want to double spell with Bone Crusher Giant plus Scavenging Ooze, I think, and then cast something later. But for now, I think just using my mana, the most mana I possibly can, is good. And I'm actually not sure why my opponent has so many opts, but I guess they do. I don't know. Dimir rogues, I mean, like, opt is generally pretty underpowered. Huh. Well, I guess in that case, I'm probably just going to save the Bone Crusher Giant for the Luris. So I'll just play a Scavenging Ooze and attack. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use it on just one of my uncreatures to play around Heartless Act. So eliminate Blood Chief's Thirst, Fatal Push to kill it, but my opponent very well could have some number of Heartless Acts, and I'd be punished for doing that. I don't really see how I could be punished for doing that main phase rather than that some other time, since my opponent doesn't really have the opportunity to like put something good in their own graveyard. This attack here is pretty suspicious. Though I think it's just because I want to recast it with Luris. Either way, I'm not going to block, because they could have some shenanigans. then I don't really want to run into them, since Scavenging Ooze is actually really, really good. Yep, so my opponent just plays Lurus here. That's fine. That is absolutely fine by me, since I do have this Bone Crusher Giant, and there's a land. That's actually less fine, because now I Bone Crusher, but it's not. Yeah, it's probably gonna get countered. No, it's not gonna get countered. Oh, well, perfect. In that case, I'm just gonna play Gallia and attack, and I am going to discard this Embercleave to draw 2 cards, because first off, if I hit a land, then I can play it and activate Scavenging Ooze, and second off, this Embercleave is probably not going to be great against all the removal my opponent most likely has. And that being said, that's also probably why I'm not going to get to actually trigger Gallia. So I'll get it for 4, still a very respectable amount, and unfortunately my Scavenging Ooze got killed, but at least I didn't spend my whole turn dumping mana into it. I'm a little bit worried about what my opponent could have here with all their mana, though. That is potentially an issue, but if it's just like some random thing to pump their Thieves Guild, that's fine because of this Bone Crusher. Yeah, I'm just gonna let the damage go through. I don't want to play an Embercleave and run into a removal spell, get blown out, and give my opponent an opportunity to get back into this game. I'm just gonna keep playing things one by one. Yeah, a Rune Crab, that's fine. Next time I'm just gonna Bone Crusher Giant, the Thieves Guild Enforcer, and well, I don't even have to show my opponent it. They've already scooped. Okay, so against Dimir Rogues, Scavenging Ooze in. Rampaging and Freeze it all on out doesn't seem great. What do I want? Probably Shaper's Sanctuary, since they've got removal. Probably Chandra's, because they're grindy. Questing Beast out. I can cut all my Embercleaves, I think. And then in that case, I'll just bring in Clothes, because if it resolves, it can be really, really strong, and want a Braid. I would bring in Promamite, but the problem is it gets blown out by removal. And Questing Beast is just a little bit expensive. Rampaging Freeze doesn't do very much, since my opponent's not gaining life. They're not playing too many creatures. And Grafdigger's Cage seems a little bit overkill, since I think all my opponent has for it is Lurus, really. And Embercleave is just much worse, because my opponent's got removal spells, counter spells, and it's one of my more expensive spells, so I really don't want to be running it. And also, the downside to playing the Grafdigger's Cage is also Collected Company, actually, so I don't want to be bringing in Grafdigger's Cage in a matchup where it's not actually like really, really good, since it shuts off some of my own cards and creates some awkward situations. Alright, well this hand is very, very good. I get to basically start forcing action on my opponent on turn 1. So they need to have a removal spell for Llanowar Elves, and then they need to not play around, or not play into this Bone Crusher Giant. I still have this Voltaic Brawler, though. I'll curve up to Collected Company soon enough. So this is actually looking really good. And if they, of course, let me untap with Llanowar Elves, I'm sort of going to go nuts. As in, I'm just going to start casting spells that are just more expensive than the turn they're being cast on. And hopefully just overwhelm my opponent in tempo. Yeah, I'm still going to seize me, but that's honestly fine, since I have a variety of different good plays. And it's actually interesting what they take here. And also very much dependent on whether they have a land or a follow-up, like a removal spell for Llanowar Elves. They took Bone Crusher Giant, which is honestly a pretty solid choice. I mean, Bone Crusher Giant is good against my opponent. And they even took 3 damage. What are they taking damage for? It's actually a little bit worrying. Well, I guess either way, I'm just casting Pallet Collector and Voltaic Brawler. Don't want to run out Scavenging Ooze yet, since I want to get some value out of it the turn it comes down. And, oh my, second Thieves Guild Enforcer. That's a lot of cards milled. Yeah, that's sort of problematic, though I guess the payoff isn't that high. They just get to pump a couple of Thieves Guild Enforcers. If they have a Soaring Thought Thief here, that would be somewhat less than ideal, though I can trade for both Thieves Guild Enforcers, so it's probably not the worst thing in the world. Man, I wish I had prepared inside boarding for this matchup. Like, the standard version of Gruul would have, like, Ox of Agonas and the Arachneer dude in the sideboard and a bunch of these escape creatures and whatnot. But this deck, unfortunately, or in this format, Historic does not tend to have that much mill, so we're somewhat lacking in that department. Looks like my opponent's deciding what to use their removal spell here on, and that turns on Thieves Guild Enforcer. Grabs my Pelt Collector as well. And then just gonna pass the turn. Okay, well, I guess I'm just upkeep collected companying, I guess. I guess. Since, again, that uses my mana the best. And I'm gonna do it upkeep in case they have a counterspell, so they use their mana during their turn. And it looks like they do, but that's honestly fine, since I just traded my turn for their turn. Not the end of the world. It is somewhat annoying that they have the counterspell, but I'll live. Okay, they're gonna attack with our Thieves Guild Enforcers. I think I'm just gonna let it go through, since Scavenging Ooze does threaten to stop that, and of course they actively want creatures in the graveyard for this Luris. So we'll go ahead and attack with Pelt Collector, since I do actually want to be using the Slanor Elves. And then I'll play the Scavenging Ooze and I think just pass, since I do want to get my graveyard below the 8 card threshold. I'm going to Fatal Push my Scavenging Ooze, which is somewhat unfortunate, I guess. I'll just gain a life. Why not? That does mean that their Thieves Guild Enforcers will be big for the time being. And that actually puts me pretty far behind because of this Luris. So, yeah, I mean, that's bad. I basically needed them not to have something there. There's my Forest too. Because now they just get ahead on tempo. They're going to have the Luris. They're going to have attackers. I can't really trade with the Thieves Guild Enforcers because that just ends up with my opponent recasting them. They've even got another removal spell, which they're going to use on my smaller Pelt Collector, which is a little bit weird, but I guess understandable. So it's really just not looking great for me. I need to draw a creature just to survive, and then they just get to recast one with Luris anyway. Wait, hold on. That is a very good draw. That's actually an incredibly good draw. I am actually still in this game. What? Okay. Well, if my opponent doesn't have a removal spell, then I guess I have a couple draw steps with this Chandra to find a blocker for the second Thieves Guild Enforcer, though. Into the story? Definitely into the story. Yup. Okay, well, don't draw a Fatal Push or a Bloodchief's Thirst. Thanks. Thanks. Well, that's unfortunate. Just got out-tempoed game 2. Oh well. Not much I could really do there. I guess I could have sequenced differently, held my collected company a little bit longer. Maybe that was a little bit better. Maybe. Well, I guess we just run it back. And on the play this time, probably going to be better. Or definitely going to be better. It just depends on how good my draw is, really. And how good my opponent is, to be fair. Okay, so for game number 3, this is certainly a very good hand. Very, very good hand. I get to go 1, 2, 2, 3, except 1. So I get to go 1, 2 2-drops on turn 2, and then a 4-drop on turn 3. And that 4-drop should hopefully get me 3 3-drops, or 2 3-drops. So essentially 6 mana. So basically I'm just doubling how much mana I'm supposed to have every turn. Seems okay. Oh, wow. God, wow. This is a pretty insane draw if I've ever seen one. Holy crap. My opponent's island, not going to do very much here. They're going to need something real good on turn 2. Because if they're just opting here, that is not going to do the trick. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, nice one, opponent. Really got me there, didn't ya? So that's just a casual 7 power on turn 2. Okay. Yikes. another op for my opponent, and it is not looking good for them at all. At all. They're gonna fatal push my scavenging ooze. That's fine. I just get to cast collected company. That's all. Just a casual collected company. Yep. Well, that is absolutely fine by me. How about haste creature? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Well, I guess I just grab the two big creatures, and I will definitely give this one haste. I think this should grow 3 and 4. There we go. And yeah, okay, so, I mean, that's just like a turn 4 kill right there through a removal spell. And probably even multiple removal spells. And op number 3 here, not going to save my opponent, unless they have some sort of 2-mana Wrath, which doesn't even exist in the format. It is not looking good for them. Okay, well, match number 2 goes about as well as match number 1, just absolutely stomped my opponent. With my camera in the right place too, so even better. And I guess I'll be back for another hopefully blisteringly fast match number 3. Okay, well, for match number 3, this is not the hand I'm looking for at all. And I actually just noticed that Arena like flips the MDFCs or the dual faced cards, which is pretty cool. It just like automatically went through my hand and flipped them. I didn't even know that it did that before, but I mean, it looks pretty cool, so, you know. Yeah, and this is actually pretty solid. I get to go turn 1 Pellet Collector to turn 2 Voltaic Brawler, which are basically the 2 beefiest creatures in the deck, so it's going to be a lot of damage real fast. And turn 1 Fable Passage, gonna get up a island. Gonna get an island. Interesting. So, I still don't know what my opponent is on, but it is very likely Sultai, just because like as soon as my opponent plays anything but a mountain or plains or like a red or white land, it's pretty safe to assume that they're in Sultai, since that's just all of Historic these days. And I mean, yeah, looks like it is. Well, in that case, I guess I'm just beating down. Not much else I can really do. My opponent's gonna cast a Growth Spiral. Yup. And then they're going to have an extinction event, I assume. Meaning my board state will be significantly reduced, but oh well. I mean, hopefully it's just an Uro. Which is not a phrase I want to say. If it's hopefully just an Uro, then I'm probably behind. Funny how I've literally got 9 power on the board on turn 3. My opponent's on 9. And yet, even though it goes to 11 power next turn, I'm still going, oh god, like, you know, Sultai is just full of good cards. So if they don't have anything here, I'm going to be able to deal them 13 damage next turn. So even an arrow doesn't save them. They're going to need an arrow plus a fatal push or something. If it's not an extinction event. And even an extinction event, like if I draw a land, I just get to hit them for 4 more and have another like 2 more lethal threats with this Bone Crusher Giant. So this is certainly not going to be an easy game for my opponent, but it's certainly not over. Though judging by my opponent roping, it is not looking great for them, I guess. At least they don't think so, maybe. Or maybe they're considering their plays. Oh, no. Okay, well. I mean, yeah, missing land drops. Not a super great proposition against Gruul, I will say. Well, post-board, I guess we're bringing in Chandra's Phyresidons, Shaper Sanctuary. Clothis, definitely don't want Cinder Vines. We are cutting an Ambercleave, Questing Beast, Bone Crusher Giant, and probably want Scavenging Ooze, to be fair. Actually, I probably want Questing Beast as well. What am I cutting here? Actually, on the draw, Rampaging Phyresidon isn't that good, so I think this is fine. Cutting Bone Crusher Giant because I don't really need to stomp that much. And it's just a 3-mana 4/3. It doesn't bring too much to the table. And then just adding a little bit more stuff to grind is probably pretty good. Oh no. So this is a hand with no red mana, 1 land, relying on Llanowar Elves. Unfortunately, my opponent has 4 Thought Seize, and probably 4 1-mana removal spells, all of which absolutely just beat up on his hand, so I think it's just gotta be a mulligan. Well, I mean, this hand's pretty solid. Nowhere near as good as the first one, though. And on the draw, it's gonna be a lot harder to win the game, but I get to go Llanowells into Voltaic Brawler, I guess, which is pretty good. If I draw like a 3-drop or another 2-drop that I can play on the same turn and the turn after that, it's gonna be pretty good, I guess. My opponent's also mulliganed, I think. That's why they're in the tank. Or at least tanking about mulliganing. Who even knows? Probably you, if you've been paying attention. Or, I don't know, but I certainly haven't. Well. Mr. Opponent, you must make a decision now. What's my opponent even thinking about? I don't like it when my opponents think. It means that they have like actual good options they're considering, which is generally not great for me. Because if their hand just had like a bad card, they wouldn't be tanking so long. Or they're just tilted because they've just lost a game to aggro. Now they've got a mulligan though. Looks like they've just chosen a card. It could also just be internet connections. But, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, at least they're on 6 cards, right? Maybe they'll, oh, hello, beautiful. How nice of you to join the party. Oh. Well, Clothis certainly changes things. Clothis is a 3-drop on turn 2. Means I can just play 2 Voltaic Brawlers next turn. And Clothis is very good. Very, very, very good early. As you saw in match number 1, Clothis is going to cause my opponent a massive headache. Like, hello, nice Uro opponent. But, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my god. Well, I was going to get to activate Clothis and get him a creature, but I guess not. How rude, opponent. How downright rude. If my opponent has a Nisa here, that's going to be real bad for me. Hopefully they don't have a Nisa. Or if they do have a Nisa, I draw like an Embercleave or something. But yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's not good. Not good at all. Now, like, I kind of just die, right? I have to hit them a lot of times with this Clothis to actually get anywhere, so it's certainly not looking great for me. I guess what I can do is attack with Voltaic Brawler, force the chump, deal them an extra point of damage. I can shorten the clock a bit, right? And then if they don't have any life gain, just try to drain them out with Uro. Surely my opponent blocks here. If they don't block, it means I have a Crosses. Yeah, Growth Spiral. Okay, well, I mean, Growth Spiral is just another card in the graveyard. More fuel for Clothis, and honestly, it's just not scary, right? It draws my opponent another card, of course, so I'm never celebrating them having a Growth Spiral essentially for free, but if they don't have anything else, then I guess I have a chance, and that's really all I can hope for at this point. Turn 2 Clothis is good and all, but ooh, oh, you know what's even better is Nevercleave. God damn. Well, hold on a second. Oh no, I messed this up pretty hard, didn't I? I think this is actually fine though. Right, because I get to flash it in time for blocks, and then just yeah, it's actually because what I could have done is played Embercleave. I would have animated Clothis and then just attacked. But honestly, it's not terrible. I accidentally just went to attacks intending to just like trade a Llanowells, but actually the Embercleave landing doesn't even animate Clothis, so really there was no point to doing that, was there? Huh. Yeah, so scratch that. I mean, this is still like a pretty good play, but Not nearly as good as I was hoping for in hindsight. Still probably pretty good though. But then I actually agree with my play, I think, since... Oh boy. Oh no. Nah, it's a Colossus. Since now I can potentially, if I draw something, get enough devotion to animate Colossus. And... it's going to be pretty hard for me to win from here. Colossus is just big, it gains life, draws cards. My opponent has a million man because it's Nisa. I really need to draw something here. And it has to be a good something too. But really, like, anything that animates Colossus here is not terrible, to be fair, so. Guess I'll put it on the Lateral Elves. I'm not trading, that's for sure, because that just gives me more as outs to draw something. And my opponent already activated Nisa. I guess I had a land drop. It's not good, though. That's not good at all. Yeah, not drawing some devotion there for Colossus probably means I'm going to lose this game. And Colossus was great, of course. This game, Colossus dealt my opponent like 10 damage, gained me 10 life at least, as well as threatening to become a creature and exiling 2 Uros, one of essentially preventing an Uro escape, actually, just straight up, because it would have already happened. But nope. Instead, I just didn't draw well enough. Yup. And that happens. So now I guess I don't do that, because like collected company and then equip Embercleave Cleave if I hit like a burning tree emissary or something. I don't know, it's just all bad. Yeah, Llanowar Elves, not gonna do it. Do I even survive the turn? 14, I guess I do. So if my opponent swings out, then I'm not dead. But I'm very unlikely to draw my way out of this one. So they're just going to ult Nisa. So now they get to attack me. They're going to have 6 power up left to block, put them to 10. If I draw Collected Company and hit like a Burning Tree Emissary plus like, oh, okay. Okay, well, wait, what? My opponent just didn't attack for lethal? Hello? Hello? Mr. Opponent? Don't think that was the best play available to their disposal, but good enough, I guess. Well, run it back. There's not much else I can do. I'm going to bring in the third Cleave and the third Rampaging Freezy Dawns, though, over Questing Beast and Shaper Sanctuary. Be more aggressive on the draw rather than reactive. And honestly, Shaper Sanctuary, like, my opponent doesn't have that much removal. They have just like 8 pieces plus Wraths. So it's actually fine. I'm not even sure if I want Sanctuary in the first place, to be fair. But on the draw, being slightly more reactive is probably good. Okay, well, mulligan. Ho, ho, ho. Holy god damn. Whew. Well, you know what I lose the game to is a Cry of the Carnarium, but holy, this is, oh wow, it's going to turn 2. Oh wow. 8 power. 8 power on turn 2. 8 on the draw. My opponent played a Fetid Pools. I played 4 2/2s. That is insane. Oh, please don't Cry the Carnarium me. Please do not cast a Cry the Carnarium. I will actually cry if my opponent has a Cry the Carnarium. Oh no, they even got their second black. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, not like this, please. Please not like this. I beg you, please. Come on, just like fatal push for my creatures. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. There goes my entire hand. Well, that was a fun game. GG's opponent. Well played. Oh, wow, that is, not good. That is not good at all. Well, casual 3 mana 4 for 1. Down to 6. Wait, hold on. Okay, well, yeah, well, if I didn't draw every single land in my deck, then maybe I'd have a better shot this game. At least my opponent's not drawing any lands. And I guess they're continuing not to draw any lands, or they did draw one now. But, hey, I mean, Gruul Spellbreaker's a hell of a draw is what I was going to say, because that's close to killing my opponent. Either Gusto, I'll put it on top, since while I would love to just, like, high roll into Collected Company, Gruul Spellbreaker is just going to do just fine. Assuming my opponent has nothing. And I have to assume my opponent has nothing because I can't beat anything. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Wait, what? Huh? They just declined to have a 4/4? Huh? Excuse me? The opponent just, like, does not want sharks in play? Crosses. Okay, come on. Collected Company or a Chandra. Voltaic Brawler. Of course, opponent. Yep. They drew a Nisa. They've even got the Nisa avatar. My opponent's just decked out in Nisa apparel. Just an elf fanboy, straight up. Yep, I get it. Good game. I have a million cards in my hand, and I cast Arrow, and then I cast Arrow again. Yay! I'm so good at this game that I just punted my way through it, but wow, this Elder Giant's still gonna win me the game. Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, like, I did my thing, my opponent had the card, and, well, not much you can really do there, unfortunately. Just, knowing that I played as well as I could have given the circumstance, made the correct decisions, and then was punished for just having cards in my deck. Yeah, like, trying to mulligan into something better, not gonna work on a multi-5. Well, either way, that's going to do it for the video. Bit of a shorter one, I assume, since these matches were pretty fast, but honestly, I'm not even going to try to play a fourth. This is the deck. Let me just move my face out of the way so you can actually see it. There we go. Is that good? Let's put me right here. Actually, even better. So, yeah, 2-1. Just won some games really quickly, lost some games, some close ones, flooded out, and had some insane draws. This deck's really fun to play, at least for Aggro players, of course. If your idea of fun is casting a Teferi and untapping 2 lands and holding up a gate, then maybe this deck is not for you, as you may have already guessed. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best Aggro decks in Historic at the moment. I think it's quite good. It might not be necessarily tier 1 just because of Uro and stuff, which does tend to hose aggro pretty heavily, but if you like attacking and you want to rank up quickly, this deck's also great. So I do recommend you check it out if you haven't already, though, I mean, you probably have. Who am I kidding? This is Gruul. This is the bread and butter. It's basically a more powerful, faster version of the standard Gruul deck, and see if you like that, you might like this. That's going to do it for the video and from me. So thank you so much, all of you, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, etc. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.